Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back. You're watching the Kaiser Report. I'm John, coming to you today with some bad news with regard to the stock markets. They're falling very rapidly at the opening. The futures were down over 1,000 points on the Dow and over 1,000 points at NASDAQ at one point, but whether or not it stays low through the rest of the day after the bell will remain to be seen. But as I have told you now for the last 7 months, we're facing a recession here, and the stock market has been overvalued and due for a correction. We knew this. Whether or not this is going to do the Harris campaign any good, I don't see that as happening, but it's quite possible that she'll get a bounce off of this if the media continues to hold the protection shields up against her speaking out of context or off of a teleprompter between now and the election time, or the debates, if they ever take place, will be interesting at best.
Let me think about that.
In world news, we have an impending problem coming out of Iran, who is threatening now within the next 48 hours or so to retaliate against Israel for the happenings on taking care of some of the Hezbollah and terrorists that were hit by Israel last week, both in Tehran and other places. And whether or not this will open up a full-on war between Iran and Israel and how we're going to get sucked into it remains to be seen. It's a terrible situation that's going on there right now. We know who started it, and we know why it has to be finished. And Iran is the largest backer of these terror groups that exist in the Middle East today. And here we are on the precipice of war without a leader anywhere in sight.
Dementia.
Hiding in the White House, trying to get crap passed so he has some sort of a legacy. No one sees or hears from him. You've got Kamala Harris stomping around as vice president, acting like she is in charge of everything. Ought to give you a good indication of what not to vote for come November. My big fear is that there'll be a war breakout and we won't have an election. That'll be the next thing that they try to cheat us all with. But if it weren't for bad news, we'd have no news at all, I guess, right now. The campaigns are ongoing. She's supposed to pick her VP. If you can believe the leaks out of the Philadelphia mayoral office, it'll be Shapiro. If not, we don't know. I don't think she has a very deep bench to pick from when it comes to finding someone that can work with her, number one, and number two, someone that isn't reluctant to destroy their political career if she should fold up and lose like she did in her last bid for the presidential candidate. She never made it to the Iowa caucuses because she couldn't garner enough votes. What's the difference now? We know what her policies are. We've watched it for 3.5 or more years. And she's just going to continue to carry on the Biden's screwed up policies.
Perhaps not, but have you considered the cost?
And whether or not their cabinet will remain intact is beyond. It could get worse with these DEI hires. They don't hire on merit anymore in this government, which is too bad because we need somebody that has meritorial achievement to come in and take these jobs that have not been worked at for the last 3.5 years and fix it all. Now, the other guy's talking about overinflated budgets with regard to waste in the area of our government. We all know this. The $400 famous toilet seats and the $500 haircuts have to go out the window if we're ever to balance this budget, and this needs to be done. It needs to be looked at, and on the Democratic side right now, whether it's Congress, whether it's the Senate, whether it's AGs, they're all in the bag for spending money, not balancing the budget. So we need that corrected, and we need it corrected fast. So yes, cut the budgets of this nonsensical stuff like the study of the sex preferences of a cricket for millions of dollars. We don't need to spend that money on these things right now. We need to balance the budget of the United States of America and get back into the superpower that we once were with regard to education, finance, and inventing things. It's a hard 6 months we're looking at up till this election. Well, it's 90 days now. 90 days we have to turn things around and to decide who we need to vote for to save this republic. I can't impress on you enough to please pray every day for guidance in who to vote for. And please look at the past history of Kamala Harris, not what mainstream media is feeding you right now about who she is, where she comes from, and how did she get to this position. Leave the nonsense out of it and look at what was produced as her vice presidency comes to a close. You have a track record here, not the track record that the media is going to put before you on a silver platter and ask you to vote for. It's history that is written. It's been here. We've watched it with our own eyes. She covered up for 3.5 years a declining president and was perfectly fine with that. She's lied on top of lies, the same as Joe Biden. She's cut from the same cloth as Joe Biden was. They will tell you whatever it is you need to hear. The lie about her activism in racial relations, the freedom thing, all made up. Her entire life is being rewritten by mainstream media. You don't have to believe that. Believe what you know. Enough is enough for that. We're into a new week here. We have a hurricane brewing down that made landfall in Tallahassee, I'm told, this morning, bringing with it a storm surge and a lot of rain. And a lot of rain is going to be inundating the panhandle of Florida up through some of the southern states. So if you're vacationing in the Outer Banks and places like that, you probably want to buckle down because you're going to get a little bit of a blow and a little bit of wet coming your way. Hurricane strength, yes, but it could dissipate, they say, when it has land, which it has. So we'll see if it loses strength or gains strength. But if you're in that area and you have not evacuated or you have not prepared for heavy winds and a lot of rain, a lot of flooding, storm surges and the like, please get prepared. Get the sandbags out, get the tape out, do what you need to do. And if you're without power, make sure you have a generator or something you can rely on to keep your family safe during this storm. God bless you all that are going through this, and the Lord will take care of you. Just ask. With that, that's pretty much brings us up to date about what's going on. It was kind of a quiet weekend with the job numbers coming out last Thursday or Friday is what caused a lot of the panic in the stock market that you see going on today. But that should be a correction that is long due. We have a lot of layoffs happening right now in this country. Intel announced today that they're cutting back 15% of their workforce. That's 15,000 people that are going to lose jobs. There's a lot of going on with restaurants closing. A lot of small businesses are closing. And layoffs are imminent in a lot of the larger places, such as the Targets and Walmarts and places of that nature. They're cutting back. They see a blip in the economy coming, and they're preparing for it. And I asked you months ago to please be prepared for this. And this is coming right now, coming on the heels of this election, which is not a good timing at all for both the electors, the people running for office, and for us, the citizens that have to go out and vote and have to feed our family with increases in prices, sometimes up to 27 to 30% on food goods. We know that gasoline is being manipulated a little bit right now. They're going to clean out the rest of the reserves that we have if we're not careful. This is being done by this administration, and we don't know who in this administration, mid-level management-wise, is actually running this country right now. But it's not Kamala Harris, and it's not Joe Biden. And if you're puzzled about that, just take a look at the last 6 months. We need leadership back in this country. We need a Congress and a Senate that will do the will of the people who sent them there. We need term limits, but not on the Supreme Court justices. We need term limits on our House of Representatives and our Senate if we're ever to bring this country back and right this ship. It has to take place, and we need to get that done. Will we get it done? No, because the people who have to vote for it are the same people that are on this gravy train right now and do not want to relinquish their chairs. But in November, we know who these players are. We know who the Adam Schiffs are. We know who the Jerry Nadlers are. We know who the Raskins are. We know also that we have a Senate leader, Chucky the Clown Schumer, who needs to be retired out of that job. And if these people are up for election, the AOCs, the squad members, all of these people need to go. They're part of the problem, if not a major link in the problem. So God bless you all. It's Monday. I'm looking forward to a week of some maybe breaking news that will be good. And I'm praying also today that Israel does not suffer as bad an attack as Iran is threatening right now. I pray also for peace in that area of the world. I also am praying for a cessation of this war. And we need to pray every day for this country and the salvation of our republic. And with that, I'm going to say, have a great Monday. We'll be back here with the Kaiser Report on Tuesday morning. We'll see you then. And until then, bye-bye now.